Good morning, video games. Welcome to Filthy Casuals, a podcast about video games, hosted by two very kind and extremely knowledgeable boys. My name...
This is like an intro for someone whose English is their second language.
This is like an AI. That's kind of what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
My name is Tommy Daslow, and with me, as always, Ben Vanel.
That's right. I'm here. The AI is in overdrive. My model has been updated. Mm-hmm. I'm even more logical than before.
Okay.
Feminists, look out. Mm-hmm.
Get ready to be destroyed. No, I was practicing enunciating there because I'm doing a small piece of acting at the end of the week.
Oh!
For the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
And the imposter syndrome is firing on all cylinders.
Well, I believed everything you said.
Thank you.
I thought you were perfectly in character. Can I ask, is this an ad or is this a creative project?
This is a creative project that is being made by some friends of mine. So
excellent.
That is where the imposter syndrome comes into it. I really do feel like I'm being thrown a bone
by some professionals.
By some professionals who just like me enough that they want to ruin their whole project by just being polite to me and giving me an opportunity that I'm not deserving of, that they don't think I'll do a particularly good job at, but they feel obligated to put me in because they see me most days.
Okay.
That's a normal thing to think, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And how's your Dutch accent going?
Good callback. I was in a group of people the other day and a friend of mine, one of my friends was like, because I have an interaction and then, I kind of overthink everything I say, and I'm sitting there like, yeah. And then someone else in our group was like, just could not believe that. Was like,
right.
Wow, really? That's great. You walk away from an interaction and you sort of doubt yourself, and I was just like, I know that this person was trying to make the point that behavior is kind of insane.
It's negative, and it is. Yeah,
it's like a
absolutely.
symptom of poor mental health. But I actually feel the other way, where I think to go through life never questioning any of the things that you've said or done is insane. Obviously, there's a happy medium somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, yeah.
But those people that you meet that are just like, they cannot fathom walking away from something and being like, oh, was that? And here's the best part. That person who said that, I had watched them put their foot in it massively 2 times in the space of about an hour and a half.
Oh, yes. And they're walking away.
You should be overthinking what you're saying.
They're just walking away whistling Dixie.
Exactly.
Just like, oh, what a lovely day I'm having. Everyone likes me.
Not even overthinking, just actual thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, to never give anything you do a second thought.
Yes.
Oh.
Looking forward to that. I'll let you know how it goes next week.
Hell yeah.
I'll give it a plug when it's out.
Yeah, lovely.
I got 2, I can't remember if I told you about this or not, but I got 2 different One of them was like, do you want to play this character? It's a real prick. And I was like, sure. And then they were like, oh, actually, wait, thinking this other character might be better for you. It's this different character who's a real fucking prick. And I'm like, okay, well, number 1, I'm really getting an insight into your view of me. And number 2, are there any nice people in this show, or is everyone really rude and mean?
There's 2 villains and you're going to play one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that sounds very exciting. I'm keen to hear your progress, dipping your toe back in to the world of acting.
Well, it's cool. I mean, I've been, it's someone I know, and I've been sort of privy to a fair bit of the planning process and a fair bit of the writing process. And I've thought, this is going to be a good goddamn thing.
Oh, that's very exciting.
So it's nice to then, sometimes you get asked to do something and you're like, whatever.
Yes.
But when it's something that you already were like, I think this is going to be really cool.
Absolutely.
You get to be in it.
Well, I wonder if you're going to win an award for it.
I could. Maybe I'll win a Webby.
You're probably not going to win a game award for it, though.
No.
Because I don't think it's a game by all reports.
Not yet, but it could come out and be really popular and get an adaptation.
Yeah.
Get a telltale.
Well, you better get your fucking contract sorted with the voice acting, like agreements, the future royalties, all of that stuff. Get it locked down. This independent web series.
I would love that. A rip-off game of this series where they don't get any of the people in it.
Yeah.
And I get to have the experience of watching someone doing a voice acting rip-off version of me.
Fuck. And what was her name?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the Game Awards nominees are out.
That's
Something
right.
that I feel like this year I've seen more people talking about than ever before.
Yeah.
Does really feel like we've crossed over into people just treating the Game Awards like they're the Emmys or they're the Oscars or the Grammys, treating them as if they're a kind of serious, long-standing institution.
Yeah, for sure.
A subjective opinion on an art as if it is determined by God himself.
Yes.
And a true, unquestionable...
anointing of the actual best games.
Yes.
Which is...
scientifically calculated.
Right. It's empirical. Look, we know a little bit about the process of the Game Awards, where a lot of it is based on how much money certain companies are willing to pay for advertising and featuring trailers and things like that. And I mean, maybe we've talked about how we would love the Oscars to have like trailer debuts and things like that.
That's where they should happen.
But it does help to not commingle the commercial with just the people voting.
Yes. I don't know what the true best scenario is, where you have like a scenario like the Game Awards where, as you say, it's
very commercial.
It's pay for play.
Yeah.
Versus the Oscars where, by their own admission, most of the judges have not watched any or sometimes all of the films that they're voting on for the category. So it's like, I don't know which one is, if you have to pick which one is more.
Yeah.
I guess if your film doesn't seem interesting enough for even a judge to want to watch it.
Right.
Then that speaks volumes about what's going on.
Yeah, and that's
but then
how
they might still go, nah, it just seems like politically the thing to do to give it the award.
I mean, sometimes they do have those like anonymous interviews with the Oscar voters, and they're like, yeah, I just kind of got the vibe that this is the one that everyone's liking. You know, like it can be that. Whereas I think the Game Awards, it's like industry people, media people as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fucking, conflicts of interest there. But regardless, you're right. People do kind of treat it as this big, cool event that has some weight to it. And I think the only times we've really heard like genuine like upswell of chat about the nominees is when like one big one's left out or...
increasingly there's the arguments about like which game is eligible in which category.
Yeah.
Like what constitutes an indie is kind of the big thing at the moment.
Yes.
Which the Oscars don't really tend to get into as much. I guess the Emmys have things like, is The Bear a comedy?
Yeah.
Like, why is it competing in that category?
Yeah, I think
things like that.
Sometimes with the Oscars, there's a bit of discussion around which actors get nominated for lead or supporting. Like sometimes, people... I think the idea is that supporting can be easier to get a win for. There's a little bit less, especially if the role that you've played is actually quite significant.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it.
It's a weird one to see people this year be really fired up about a certain game potentially being Game of the Year or whatever. And I don't know. I know it's equally stupid to care about the Oscars in the same way, because it is just all... You're talking about like people getting pumped when a certain Marvel movie makes however many million at the box office, as if it's like some, small person that you're championing. But at least with like a great film, that any director who's been doing it a long time really cares about getting that statue.
Yes.
And it is kind of the pinnacle of the industry and whatever, and a dream that you have as an actor.
For sure. You practice your Oscar speech.
Yeah. And like one battle after another, us loving it, us having loved Paul Thomas Anderson for his whole career, him having put out so many bangers. It's like, that's a guy that you want to see up there on the podium.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to have the same, like, I don't care if Donkey Kong Bonanza gets Game of the... There's no, like,
No,
one guy
exactly.
who you're like, oh, it would mean so much to him
Yeah.
to be up there holding the coveted Game Award statue.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have that. At least the Oscars have been around for, like, so much longer that by
Yeah.
now they are so embedded. I don't really care if Expedition 30... There's no... I don't really view it as a thing of, like, wow, wouldn't that be amazing for them?
Right,
Like,
and certainly, like, I'm not going to be like, well, I can't believe Ghost of Yote wasn't nominated.
Yeah, yeah.
Or, like, whoever is nominated, not winning. I'm like, hey, I enjoyed the game.
I guess when there are more indies sneaking in, it's like that's the one I'm more interested in seeing win because it like what an upset. It's a smaller team.
Yeah.
I guess the standing of the industry being so shaky
Yeah.
maybe it buys you a little bit more security, but probably not is the other thing. Like at least if you win an Oscar, you can be pretty confident like, hey, now I get to really swing my dick around on the next one.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know that winning a Game Award could necessarily stop a studio from being acquired by Microsoft and then shut down a week later.
Nothing can stop that.
Nothing can stop that, yeah.
That's futile. But yeah, I wonder. And I wonder if there's any interviews out there with some of the indie game winners from the past, like, what is it, 5, 6, 7 years, whether it helped them or if they, I feel like it is general buzz and sales are the main things that actually help people within the industry.
It does feel like maybe from now, like around about this year or like in the last couple of years, that you can imagine someone who's like 15 now tuning in, they love video games, they know that this is what they want to do, they've already started doing a little bit of coding and they like eventually when they're like an adult and they're working in the industry and they're making games on a professional level, the like getting a Game Award will be the thing that they aspire to in the way that people covet the Oscars, but it just needs to have been around
another 15 years maybe, because Oscars is like what, in 80 something years. You're right, give it another generation or so of
someone tuning in and watching the ceremony when they're a little kid and being like, oh, I can't wait to be up there, but it still does feel new enough that someone who's like 40 who's making games would just be like, oh, it's cool, I guess, but it's all a little naff, isn't it? Like,
and I mean, like, I guess this is the thing with any industry awards, like being in a room with your peers and someone deciding like, hey, you're the best this year. It's like, well, that's nice, and I'm sure the party's fun, like, but
and like, it is just one more thing that is doing like the marketing for you of like one more avenue for people to hear about the game, hear that the game is good.
That's true. Yeah.
So should we go through some of the nominees?
Well, I mean, given that we've decided none of this matters, let's go through it with a fine-tooth comb.
Let's quickly race through some of the more, I guess, because there are so many categories. There's like best esports team, best streamer, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, we'll focus on those.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Best family game, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Lego Party, Lego Voyages, Mario Kart World, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, and Split Fiction. That all kind of checks out. Funny that there's 2 Lego games in there.
Yeah. Which I imagine, fucking families and kids must love the Lego games.
Yeah.
Even something like Donkey Kong Bonanza might be a bit much for younger kids.
It does feel like if it's going to win, I don't think it, because it's also nominated for Game of the Year. I don't think it has a chance of winning Game of the Year, but I could see it winning best family game.
Out of that list, it probably has the claim to being the best game, whether it fits the category. And I think, interesting. I don't know that Split Fiction is up for Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Which is probably the first time. I mean, It Takes Two was. I don't know if A Way Out was, but...
It Takes Two won, didn't it? It did.
Yeah. Yes, because that guy.
Again, really proving how much this really matters.
Yeah.
It just gets into... I guess this is the very similar thing to the Oscars where you have... Or like the Grammys, the idea of like this thing competing against this thing.
Right.
And the same metric, like something like Donkey Kong Bonanza with Lego Party and... Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, like these are not the same category. I would say like what are you saying? Family game is like okay for little kids, or just literally you can play it with someone who is younger in your family, or everyone can be gathered around the TV enjoying it. Because like, I mean, Mario Kart World has, and same with Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, multiplayer, split screen. The whole family can be playing it. Same with Lego Party. Something like Donkey Kong Bonanza doesn't have that, but it has everyone
co-op.
in the family is going to enjoy it in some capacity.
Yes.
Like, I don't know. Again, what's the distinction of, does family game just mean that it's not anything over a certain rating?
Mate, yeah, and I think multiplayer or co-op gaming, but yeah, because that's like distinct from what a party game would be.
Yep.
But some of those games would be listed in that category.
Yep.
Yeah, great stuff.
Best RPG, Avowed, Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, The Outer Worlds 2, Monster Hunter Wilds.
Yeah, all good games.
Definitely seems like it's going to be Clair Obscur's year again. If
That's
it's
the talk,
not going to get the game of the year, I could see it definitely getting this. Again, RPG can mean so many different things. Like, I would not say there are any similarities between something like The Outer Worlds 2 and Clair Obscur Expedition 33.
Yeah.
One of them's a literal, like, a role-playing game where you're making conversational decisions, and then the other one being a very classic, like, leveling up and turn-based.
Yeah.
Which is, in my head, when I go to RPG, that's what I think of. But I guess in the West, it has, like, a very different meaning behind it.
And I wonder as well with these awards, and I'm sure it kind of is worked out with a bit of, like, backroom chat between the voters, like, just general discussions, like, well, if I'm voting Clair Obscur for Game of the Year, am I going to vote for it for RPG of the Year, or should I throw my vote to, like, the second best game in that list?
Because then you get into that thing. It's like, well, if this game is the best game overall of the year, then it stands to reason that it should also be the best example of the genre that it is.
Yes, that's true. Hey,
to have one and not the other seems sort of absurd.
Because if it shows up in, voice acting, you can be like, well, the voice acting wasn't the best in Clair Obscur, but the game was still the best. Whereas, if it's
the best game of the year, but it's not the best RPG of the year.
Yeah, and it's an RPG, you say. Yeah.
Best action adventure game, Death Stranding 2, On the Beach, Ghost of Yotei, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Hollow Knight, Silk Song, and Split Fiction.
Man, I mean, it's a fucking good year for games.
It really is.
That is... Yeah, an extremely difficult category to pick.
It's funny, I was just about to say before, in the RPG category, you do get to this point of the year where you look through, end of year lists and you go like, oh yeah, Monster Hunter Wilds was this year.
Yeah.
I'm sure for the freaks that had real staying power, but for us, it really felt like it came and went. I enjoyed the week that I spent with it, but I have not really clocked anything about it since.
No, which, I think, like, there are many people, where they bought 3 games in the past 12 months and that was one of them, and they played it for 100 hours and they loved it. But, I don't know, it also just speaks to the fact that maybe for people who play a billion games, for me, something like World really stuck out at the time. Whereas this was enjoyable, but I was like, oh yeah, it's more Monster Hunter.
I think January is a tough time too. I think it's quite easy for a game to be forgotten that early in the year.
For sure.
Maybe it's different in other parts of the world, but it's like still summer here, so the game comes out, you're still like socially, like you're out a lot more, the weather's better, you're on holidays, so you're not like, I mean, a nice little winter release, that's when you're really locking in.
Absolutely.
But best action adventure, again, to compare something like Death Stranding 2 to Ghost of Yotei to Silk Song, feels like...
Which, that fit... In that category, it does feel like Silk Song should win.
Yeah.
Because the other games, technically, they may fall into that category, but I
But if I had to put it into a genre, I don't think I'd call it... I wouldn't call it an action-adventure game. When I think action-adventure, I do think something more along the lines of, like, Yotei or Indiana Jones. Like,
right.
Something of that nature. Like,
yes.
That just feels like that's what that genre means to me. Like, Silk Song, I'd say, platformer... Metroidvania. I wouldn't immediately go, this is an action-adventure game.
Yes, that's true. If there was a Metroidvania category, it would win it hands down.
Okay, and then the next category, best action game.
Oh, come on.
No adventuring in any of these.
Fucking hell.
Battlefield 6, Doom the Dark Ages, Hades 2, Ninja Gaiden 4, Shinobi Art of Vengeance. I mean,
just
Doom the Dark Ages, I hate to break it to you fellas, you're going on an adventure.
I would... I would say that all of those involve adventure.
They all involve
in some way.
form of adventure.
And at least if they don't, neither do all of the ones in the action adventure category.
Yeah. I would say, I don't know, Hades 2 probably.
Yeah.
It does seem like the focus is most purely on action.
I suppose.
In the way of those like hack and slash roguelikes. That's kind of like the whole bit of it that, I mean, people like the writing and stuff in those games, but it is the action, it's the combat that's really, really the standout that's drawing people in.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess the only the difference between it and Silksong is that Silksong has a heavy emphasis on platforming as well as action.
Yep.
But they're both Hades 2 is not a Metroidvania, but a roguelike action game with heavy story elements. Yeah, I don't know. I don't fucking know.
Yep. I'm going to skip ahead a couple because VR game, I don't think we've really invested in any of these.
I don't think I've picked up or used a VR headset this year.
No, me either. Best mobile game, who gives a fuck?
Are there any? There could be some good ones on there.
Who cares? Okay, Destiny Rising, Persona 5, The Phantom X, Sonic Rumble, Uma Musume. I'm definitely not saying that right. Pretty Derby.
Musume. Yeah, that's the horse girl.
That's the horse girl game.
Yeah.
And Wuthering Waves.
Oh yeah. That's another MiHoYo like Genshin Impact
sure.
thing. Horse girl game has to win.
Sure.
I'm glad we went through that.
This is an interesting one. Best debut indie game.
Oh yeah.
Blueprints, Claire Obscure Expedition 33, Despelote, Dispatch, and Megabonk. However, the developers of Megabonk withdrew the game from consideration.
Yeah, which is, I think, like a very that shows a lot of integrity. But they said it because they'd like worked on other games before.
Yeah, it's an honor and a dream for Megabonk to be nominated for TGA, but unfortunately, I don't think it qualifies for the category debut indie game. I've made games in the past under different studio names, so Megabonk is not my debut game. I really appreciate the nomination, support, and votes, but it doesn't feel right in this category. You should vote for another one of the amazing debut titles. They're all amazing games. Thanks again. So
that's I guess that is different. If they've literally built and released games under their as themselves, just with a different studio name.
Sure, a more unscrupulous person would be like, oh, well, it's the first one under...
Right.
Like if you were, again, as we're talking about, like if this was a thing that was like further along and had been part of the landscape for longer and had more of a like... not prestige, but...
A bit of clout.
Then you would get people wanting to, like, game the system in that way.
Yes.
But a guy being like, I don't... You also just don't want to be in the position where you leave yourself open to other people being able to say that about you.
Yes.
And stories coming out. Like, if he had of one, then being like, we actually found all these records where he's had 4 different studios.
Yeah.
Because, just being like, the game's successful. A lot of people are playing it. A lot of people are loving it. That's plenty.
Getting the nomination and then getting the press of withdrawing is like, that's the exposure that you want.
I've been meaning to play that game too. It sounds it sounds like very Vampire Survivors-esque.
Yes.
With some, I don't know, maybe to our tastes, questionable attempts at humour. But people are loving it.
Yeah, and I just listened to the Triple Click about Dispatch the other day. Which sounds very interesting. Also, potentially some annoying humor, but I'm keen to give that a go at some point. But I
do want Blueprints to win any category that it's nominated in. I think Claire Obscure is fantastic. Again, this is the weird thing where you go debut indie game. Like when Claire Obscure came out, it is a small team, but people were calling it like a double A. It's not like the size of like a Team Cherry, but it's not like a massive studio, but it is still, it's doing a fantastic job of making a really compelling version of a template that is kind of already out there in a lot of different ways, whereas Blueprints is just such a wholly unique experience.
Yes.
And especially for a first team, just like not playing it safe, just going something that is completely what they want to make.
Which also, like, is Blueprints maybe a solo developer or extremely
I think
extremely small team.
I think it's just a very, very small team.
Yeah.
Best this is very funny. Having best debut indie game and Megabonk being nominated, but it not being his debut indie game. There's then also a category best independent game, which Megabonk is not nominated in.
Great.
I don't know why they didn't turn around and go, "Oh, our bad. We'll put you in this category."
Yeah. It's like, well, it's not actually as good as other games from, established indie studios.
It's good if it's your... Oh, wait, it's not your first?
Wow.
That's embarrassing. Why are you admitting that? Best independent game, Absalom, Ball Pit, Blueprints, Clair Obscur, Hades 2, Hollow Knight, Silksong.
Yeah, beautiful. Great list. I was going to say... but I guess Kenny Sun has made a game before Ball Pit because, I was hoping that would get nominated for the other category. Yeah, I'm still playing a lot of Ball Pit.
Ball Pit or Blueprints.
Yeah.
I just don't think Clair Obscur needs to win any of the indie categories that it's nominated in because it's nominated for Game of the Year.
Yeah,
that sounds harsh.
But that, like you said before, logically, it kind of just should, if it does win Game of the Year, it should win every category it's nominated in.
I think also too, like it sweeping the nominations, potentially being Game of the Year, which it may not win, but I do think like something like Ball Pit, smaller game, is getting a lot of hate, but not to the extent of Clair Obscur.
Right.
A win for it in that category and like the press that would get it and then like maybe boost in sales probably is going to do more for that game than a similar win would do for the success of something like Clair Obscur, which feels like it's kind of like already hit the ceiling of like how many people it can bring in.
Absolutely. You'd think that, their next game is lined up and funded and they're not worrying about where their next paycheck's coming from. Whereas, neither I'm sure is Kenny, but
first name basis with him now.
That's right.
Interesting.
KS,
Mr. Sun.
KMS.
KMS. Hey, just out of interest, big fan. What's your middle name? I understand if you don't want to give me the full name, but at least just the initial.
Yeah.
There's something. There's a riff I've been cooking up, and I just need to know if I'm barking up the wrong tree.
If he were to get more funding, more exposure, big publisher, that kind of thing. That I would be very happy about.
Yep. Best ongoing game, Final Fantasy 14. Really doing the maths there on the Roman numerals. Fortnite, Helldivers 2, Marvel Rivals, and No Man's Sky.
Wow.
No Man's Sky still getting support all this time on.
I mean, if part of the criteria is how long you've been ongoing, No Man's Sky, fucking
and
hand it to them
for the launch that it had. And to be still supporting it after this long and the turnaround. On the initial sentiment on that game. Yeah, because Final Fantasy 14 has also been around for quite some time.
Yes, that is true.
At this point,
that is true. Also, completely scrapped their game and restarted from scratch at one point.
Yeah.
Whereas Fortnite just ripped off PUBG and made it cartoons
and put the Simpsons in it.
So
it's gonna win.
It's gonna win. Yeah.
It'll be that or Marvel Rivals.
Yep.
Okay, there's a lot more like games for impact, innovation and accessibility. Cool that they have those categories.
Very rarely have I heard of games from the Games for Impact category.
Yes.
Is that going to continue this year?
Yeah, I wonder. It really does rely on looking at what's come out and feeling like you have enough for the category to...
Yes.
Like, if it's not there next year, it'll be like, I guess we just sort of stopped caring about any real issues.
Yeah.
Best performance, Ben Starr, Charlie Cox, Erika Ishii, Jennifer English, Konatsu Kato, and Troy Baker.
Oh, well, Troy Baker's going to win.
Very convenient that this article has not chosen to list the performances that these people are nominated for their performances of.
All I know is that Troy Baker did Indiana Jones, did the Harrison Ford impersonation.
I believe it would be Erika Ishii is Atsu in Ghost of Yotei. And maybe it's just the fact that I'm still deep in my playthrough of that game, but she's great.
Yeah. Oh, no, totally. played it from start to finish. Fucking great characterization, great performance.
I'm pretty sure it's Ben Starr who's the Claire Obscure.
Oh, yes.
And doing good work with some... I mean, I would say The Ghost of Yotei is a great performance with some, like, very deep stuff to be getting into and making compelling and believable. But it's very relatable. Well, not relatable, but it's very real.
Yes.
You know, it's like a classic. It's a trope that we all know.
Yep.
It's a revenge story.
Yep.
You know, wanting to avenge her family and just being so driven by this. Whereas I would say the material that the performances in Claire Obscure are having to work with is so heightened and
very
so
abstract,
potentially very silly.
Yes,
to make that like grounded and believable, I think is maybe a slightly tougher challenge than what has been given to the voice of Atsu.
Yeah, I can see that. I can also see that because we've seen the tropes in Ghost of Yotei so often, doing it in a way that is actually effective is also something to be
true.
lauded. But both valid opinions.
Yep. Get off the goddamn fence, brother. Best score and music.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because there's best audio design and there's best score and music.
Yes.
But score and music: Hollow Knight Silk Song, Hades 2, Claire Obscure, Expedition 33, Ghost of Yotei, and Death Stranding 2 on the beach.
Oh.
I have seen this opinion online a lot, and it's one that I agree with. It is quite crazy that Mario Kart World is not included in that category.
Yeah. Yes.
Maybe it's down to the fact that it's all pre-existing compositions that have been re-recorded.
Yeah.
But that in itself is no small feat.
Yes.
And I guess maybe it is unfair to be, having a best of up against, a brand new set of compositions. But who gives a fuck? Because it is undeniably the best set of music in a game this year.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking good.
And also a lot of them are like they're remixed compositions. Like it's not like they've just whacked the original like 8-bit versions in there.
True.
They've
True.
They've given them like funky reggae, they've really sat down and thought about like the style of music that they're going to re-record them in. They're taking like
the arrangements are brand new,
simplistic like 8-bit things and really flesh them out. Like it's and I mean even it is just a celebration of 30 years worth of music from this one company, but it's the best soundtrack of the year, I think. Yeah.
I mean, if not that, I would say out of those, probably I think Death Stranding 2, use of its score and like, pop tracks as well was
it's a weird
incredibly
one
effective.
It's kind of like, I guess you then get into that thing of it is using a lot of some of it purpose made, but like deploying sort of licensed music in those moments, and it is done well. And is that more valid than a original score? I know there is a lot of original score in it, but when I think of the music that sticks out in that film to me, I'm thinking of that Caroline Polachek song, which is great.
Yep.
But that's a great song in and of itself.
Yes.
Whereas something like Ghost of Yotei, the score in that is all completely unique and original and purpose designed for this interaction and that interaction.
Yep. And it's very, very good.
Yeah. I think these are all... Yeah, these are all...
They all have great music.
They all have great music.
Yeah.
I think, though, my pick would have been Get Mario Kart World in there. Best art direction, Claire Obscure, Death Stranding 2 on the beach, Ghost of Yotei, Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silk Song. I think you and I would both agree that Death Stranding 2 on the beach is the standout there.
Yeah.
I think all of them are also great, but they're all kind of picking from, Yotei is using a lot of existing samurai kind of stuff. Hades 2 and Hollow Knight are amazing, but they're follow-ons.
Yes.
They're a lot of those assets kind of already exist for them to expand upon, having done the hard work in the first games in those series. And I guess, the same is true of Death Stranding too.
Yeah.
But he just is bringing so much new stuff to it that is... I don't know. All of those other games, there's enough in them that I'm like, oh, I can see where you've pulled that from that and that from that. And as we talked about, all of the weird little fucking icons and like
Yes.
business names and stuff are so fun. But
Yeah,
grounded and believable.
The new character designs, the new locations, the new fucking dimensions they go into. Yeah, I think that you could probably say that it has the same criteria, or it suffers from the same potential drawback as those other two, but I just think it's better.
Yeah. I think
That's also what I think.
I think that there are some games where if it's doing its job really well, you potentially don't notice it. But then if it's doing its job so well, it's the main thing that you notice.
Yes.
And in all those other games, it's like, I love how this game looks.
Yep.
I love this little character. I love this little guy. Ghost of Yotei, the world feels so believable.
Yes.
But with Death Stranding 2, it is like, it's the main thing that I notice. It's the main reason why I like playing his games.
Yes.
His art direction.
And I think it only is able to stand out so much because the actual gameplay, the game direction of what you're doing is that thing of you don't notice it. It's so fluid, it's so seamless that you're able to just appreciate how it looks and how it's designed. So
for a game where a lot of what you're doing is just like walking around.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like you really, if that stuff wasn't really cooking, you really would notice it.
Yes.
And people that bounce off it, like it's clearly that style stuff that's in there isn't grabbing them, and they're just going, "What am I fucking doing in this game? I'm bored."
Yeah.
Best narrative: Claire Obscure, Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yotei, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Silent Hill F. Again, another tough one.
Yeah.
For me, it's going to be Death Stranding 2.
Yeah, it's so incredibly original and innovative.
Yeah.
Like you said, with Ghost of Yotei, with everything that it's nominated for, it's really well executed, but it's not breaking a hell of a lot of new ground.
Yeah.
And like, all of these are good, but if you have to fucking, differentiate between them, I would have to say that. There's, fair enough that I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I feel like
fair enough, you say.
A few of those I would say are good narratives, not spectacular.
Yeah.
Maybe it just hasn't actually been that great of a year for narrative in games.
I think Claire Obscure is one that I am not far enough into.
I would have to, I'd concede
I've seen
that too.
like the kind of early on twist in it, and it is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Very well done, and I think as it gets further on, people are really into the story and where it's going. And the conceit of the world is really cool. So, for especially for like basically making a JRPG, which often like the sort of the format that they're taking does tend to be fucking little guy with amnesia getting his little party and going off over here, and there's a big
powerful
bad evil thing over there.
Yeah.
Which you are heading towards a big evil thing, but the mechanics of the world, the world building and all that kind of stuff is like so unique and
that is true.
Interesting.
Very original, the setting or the inspiration for the setting, the like French Baroque period, and like you say, the fantastical elements are original. I just haven't got far enough to really get sucker punched by the story.
Now here's a fascinating category. Okay. Best adaptation. A Minecraft movie, Devil May Cry, The Last of Us Season 2, Splinter Cell Deathwatch, and Until Dawn.
Well, it's got to be The Last of Us Season 2.
Well, I guess it depends on... Minecraft movie made a shitload of money. Not that anyone thought it was creatively very good.
Yeah. I guess, like, to be fair, people who did actually see it were like... Hey, I honestly was expecting worse. It was a good kids movie.
Yep.
And I still haven't seen it, so I can't judge.
Do you think there'll be a little chicken jockey sketch at the Game Awards?
Yes, there will.
Yeah.
There definitely will.
It's a shame. I don't think this category should be in here. I think it's unreasonable that there's a best adaptation. So, like, the Game Awards acknowledging a completely separate form of media.
Yeah.
It's not like at the Oscars there's, like, a best video game tie-in category for, like, the fucking, I don't know, one battle after another slot machine, mobile phone app or whatever. I guess there's not as many adaptations these days. But back in the day, if they had a best Super Nintendo game movie adaptation, and it's between, like, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, and Super Star Wars.
Yeah, fuck. Also, they're all different kinds of adaptations.
Yeah.
There's a movie, there's an anime series, an HBO, like live, like it's all over the fucking shop.
Too broad.
Clearly, they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yep. All right. Best game of the year.
Best game of the year.
I was going to read out the best game direction is one of the other ones.
Sure.
Again, a little like quite in the weeds category, and it is just a lot of the same titles that we've been talking about already that are also in game of the year. So I don't, again, to be like this game is the best game of the year, but I don't think it was the best directed game of the year.
Well, I know. Are there any on the directed list that aren't on game of the year list?
Only Ghost of Yotei and Split Fiction.
Yeah, okay.
So, I mean,
I reckon they're going to throw that Joseph Fares guy a bone with that category for Split Fiction.
Yep.
And it is well directed, and it was a really fun game. But yeah, you're right, and it often is the case with films as well, where it's like, okay, what is the?
How can you be best director and not best film, and vice versa?
Yeah.
Game of the year: Clear Obscure, Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2, On the Beach, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Hades 2. Hollow Knight Silk Song, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I don't think anyone expected KCD2 to be on there.
No, it does have its fans. The first one did as well, and I think that the argument is, it's a niche game, but what it's attempting, it's done incredibly well. And the people who like it fucking love it, and they are fully immersed in it, and I mean, I played it, and I can't say that the way it was executed had any faults, you know? Like, it wasn't fully to my taste, but what I played, it was like, man, if I wanted to really pretend I was a fucking knight in medieval Europe, this is the game to do it. But there are other big games from this year that did not make the cut, and I'm a little surprised Ghost of Yotei didn't make it, but
So what? I mean, everything from everyone online seems to be that this will be Clair Obscur. Expedition 33. People have been saying that since it came out. I think people really want this one to win. It's a smaller game. It kind of wasn't really on people's radars. It does what it's doing really, really well. I've had a really good time with it in the bit that I'm up to in it, having not finished it. I would need to kind of refresh myself on it. And for the rest of the list, I really don't know what I would say would be my personal pick. I do think that it is going to be the one that wins, just based on this awards show more than any other seems to be based on more on like the chatter of who people think should win rather than because with all these games, again, it seems kind of crazy to be deciding what is better between Donkey Kong Bonanza and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Yes.
They may as well be separate forms of media.
Absolutely. And, like you do get that with other awards ceremonies where, the scale and the scope of incredibly heart-wrenching indie drama does not seem fair to be compared to The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
But fucking...
I know this will just read as my personal fanboyness shining through. There would be something really cool about Donkey Kong winning it. As a basically launch title for a system, it kind of is weirdly a bit of a big swing. In that they had not been doing much with this character for a long time, but he is one of, if not the first video game characters. So to have him come back in this way and be this like game that is doing so like taking a formula, doing so much new with it. It's so interesting and just fun all the way through. Like all of these games are amazing. A lot of them are doing there's very little, if any, storyline or narrative stuff in Bonanza. All of these games, nearly all of them are doing that to a better degree. But when you think about where video games come from and the experience that they're meant to give you. I love that there's more narrative in them now.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're sitting and watching like a really emotional cutscene, I think that's cool that can happen now. But I'm not sitting there having fun. I'm having fun every single second that I'm playing a Donkey Kong Bonanza session.
Yes.
And so if you think about like, well, yeah, that's what the creation of a video game as a form when it first started, as a representation of that following through like all of the generations, it is the most pure representation of like where the art form started, extended into another, into a new generation.
Yes. But it's not going to win.
It's not doing all those other things that are now kind of considered to be part of what makes something a 10 out of 10.
Even though I don't think that, generally speaking, even great video game stories are actually that great. The bar is still low for video games. Not like on the floor. There are some fantastic video game stories.
Yeah.
But, I don't think it's crazy to be like, but this video game is the best at being a video game.
Yeah.
Not being 3/4 a video game and 1/4 an okay movie.
Yeah.
Having said that, I think despite it not being something that really, really hooked me, I think Claire Obscure will win. And I won't say what my actual game of the year would be because we're going to reveal that in a few weeks' time.
But yeah, I'd be pretty happy with Claire Obscure winning. It's a great success story. It is, I think, also just as much as we're saying this stuff doesn't matter, but it is nice for there to be a reward for a small team and an industry that is kind of struggling with bloat and blown out budgets of games and these big teams and all this stuff that means that studios get shut down and people have to crunch and all this kind of stuff that is like quite bad in the industry, to send a message that a smaller team with a more modest budget can make something that stands up when you're playing it side by side with games made by teams 4 times the size for 10 times the budget.
Yes.
I think that would be a good thing and could lead to a bit of change for the game.
I think it also underlines the fact that if you allow whatever team you have of developers and creatives to follow their actual creative vision through, rather than noting it and cutting it and adapting it to fit market trends, then you're going to have a much better work of art at the end. And hopefully that allows the actual creatives in these studios to have a bit more of a say. Like there's been so many examples of executives ruining game releases, the game development process because of financial reasons that
it is nice to see this list of all of the nominations and realize there are so many incredible games, creative, interesting, fun, basically no live service stuff in there, no loot box stuff. It does feel like a nice thing to have been moving away from this very callous, ongoing profit-driven view of what video games seemed like they were going to exclusively turn into for a period there. I will say I do think it's a shame that I think honestly Blueprints should be nominated for Game of the Year. I think it is one of the games of the year.
I think that it's one of my games of the year for sure. But I don't know, as much as we are we couldn't play that much of Monster Hunter Wilds, we do get exposed to and play more games than most people. And I feel like even within the industry, probably especially if you're working on games, you don't get to play and dabble in every indie game. You never played Ball Pit. So I feel like we are actually, we have a bit of, we're in a lucky position in that case.
I thought you were going to say that something like Blueprints sticks out more if you play a lot of games because you get used to seeing a lot of the same stuff again and again and again.
Yes.
And something like Blueprints probably registers more to you if you are a little fed up with a lot of the tropes or a lot of the stylistic things and genres, that maybe if you are playing things a bit more sporadically and casually, you would come to something like that and be like, oh, actually, what I want is just Mario.
That is also
I don't
true.
Want some like
it's complex.
Get the notebook out.
Right.
What? No, that's what I do at my fucking job.
Yes.
This is meant to be a break.
Yeah, there's like about 30 seconds of tutorial, and then it's just like solve a Rubik's Cube, but it moves through time. Like
yeah.
That's also completely fair.
Yeah.
And there is a certain level of accessibility in the content of all those other games. That, clear by design, a complicated puzzle game doesn't have. Yeah.
Well, a game that I personally, if I were coming up with the list of nominations today, this game that I've been playing this week, you better believe would be getting a mention in one of these categories for me.
It'd be there in family game.
Yep.
Up against Mario Kart World.
Well, yeah. It is... Okay, Kirby Air Riders.
Yes.
This game is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
To have a game that is so simple on paper to go, a racing game that is controlled with the stick and one button, you would think would make it incredibly accessible.
Yes.
It's also got Kirby in it, which has 4 babies.
Yes.
You would think great family game, can sit down with anyone and they'll be able to pick up and play it. But when you get into it, it is perhaps the least accessible game that's ever been created.
Yeah, it's fucking... the pace of it is the main thing. Because you're right, there's only one button. The button does many different things, depending on context. But when you're talking about just sitting down and doing an air ride and playing a couple of laps against a bunch of weird fucking little freaky guys, it's so fast. Your reflexes have to be so honed. You have to be able to take in a lot of shit happening on the screen.
There's like a lessons...
It's not for babies.
Yeah, there's a lessons category of the menu that'll teach you bit by bit what you're doing. But in terms of... It's not like you load the game up and it kind of tells you this stuff. Like, you have to go looking for it.
Yeah.
And I can imagine going in and thinking like, racing game. It's kind of like... the mechanics of, Sonic Racing Crossworld or whatever. You figure out, like, what the items are just kind of as you're going. And you really can't do that with this. You do need to spend a bit of time with the tutorials because this game is technically a racing game but kind of not really a racing game. It really does feel like an indie to me, not in terms of, like, the presentation or the polish or the amount of content, but just in terms of being, like, a weird... like merging of two concepts to create something that is more than the sum of its parts in the way of like a ball pit or something.
Right.
It isn't just, it's Mario Kart, but it's like the Kirby characters. It is this weird hybrid of like racing and like fighting game.
Yeah.
And like weird sort of strategy elements. So the crux of it is when you're in the air ride mode, which is racing around a track, you're picking a character, you're picking a machine, and immediately I would say more so than any of these like character racing games, the combinations of the things that you pick vary so much more wildly than in any other game.
Yes.
Like the most disparity you get in like a Mario Kart is like Bowser is heavier than Toad and just has a higher top speed but worse turning and a lower acceleration. But in this, like,
and that's basically the extent of it with various combinations.
Yes,
it's like, okay, you're either a bit faster on the accelerate, slower on the top speed, turning's a bit worse, or but like that's kind of it.
It's like, do you want one of these 3 things? Which one do you prioritize?
Yeah,
and you are basically picking that.
Yeah,
and the kind of the style and the aesthetics are really the main thing that is like your motivation for what characters you pick in those games. Whereas with this, all of the machines are so different.
Yeah.
They all have like a different little wrinkle to how they control and handle. All of the characters have like a special move that are all quite different. And then you also have the combination of like their weight class and the vehicle's weight class. So I've found the things like handling and acceleration, mainly handling and gliding, are so much more extreme in the differences between the karts than something like Mario Kart or Sonic Racing. They are really, really starkly different. The difference does feel, the difference in those other games feels kind of negligible, whereas here, like, there's like a scooter that you can just turn corners, even sharp corners, easily without needing to do any braking. Whereas I don't feel like you get that much of a disparity in the cars in Mario Kart.
Nah.
So the way you're controlling this game is you're moving ahead automatically.
Yes.
You're steering with the stick. You're holding down a button to kind of brake and build up a boost charge. So when you come to like a sharp corner, you'll hold it when you get to the edge of the corner, aim yourself out of the corner and get a little boost off the back of it.
Which it sounds like drifting in Mario Kart, but it is not. It's like you brake.
Basically stop.
Actually brake. Yeah.
And this is where a lot of the differences in all the cars kind of comes into it.
Yeah.
Like some of them will grind to a complete. Some of them you can't turn at all. There's one that you can't turn at all without fully stopping it. Some of them don't really stop all that much at all. Some of them build up a bigger boot. Like they get more of a boost if you charge it all the way up.
Yep.
All of these little things start to come into play. There are also little enemies kind of running along the track that if you get close to them and you hold that button, you can suck them up to either like shoot them out, and every time you take out an enemy, you get a little speed boost.
Yes.
So if you suck someone up, you shoot it out into another enemy, you're going to get like a bigger boost.
Yep.
If you can work out a way to get like a little combo of them all together, so you kind of constantly have to be sort of attacking these enemies that are coming up on the track that aren't other races, that are just kind of like little NPC bad guys that are like waddling across the course or whatever. There's also versions of enemies that have copy abilities that you can steal. So you suck them up, you get the speed boost for having defeated them, but you then have their power for a little bit, which might be there's like flame. So when you push that button, you'll shoot out flames to other enemies or other races. Hitting races does the same thing. It gets you a little boost. So you're kind of having to plan around that, like they're always signposted by like a little icon that's above them that you can see from a bit of a distance. So if you know which powers you like using, you might go, oh cool, a sword guy's coming up, I'll make sure I get him. The sword is like a little automatic attack when you get close to people. They're all very varied in how they function and the benefits that you get from them. You can wiggle the stick back and forth to do a little spinning attack, which is kind of your main way of taking out other races if you're in a pack before you have any of these copy abilities.
Yes.
So you are in this, when it clicks, I feel like the first time you play this game, you're probably going to hate it, the first race that you do, because it just kind of seems like it is all just happening to you. The fact that you're moving automatically, it's not like if you hit a corner and you haven't turned properly, you won't come to a grinding halt and be bashed up against that wall. It'll sort of shuttle you around anyway. It is pretty easy to just kind of sit there and drift along the track automatically, and it really does feel like this is just pointless. But then once you get into that flow state of seeing an enemy, picking them up, shooting them out into another enemy, getting that boost, hitting this guy, getting this copy ability. There also, every racer is leaving like a little trail of stars behind them. So if you get into that, you get a nice little boost. You're building up like a special meter by doing all of these things. That is a move that is unique to every character, which might be a massive speed boost, or it might attack everyone on the course. Or
very smash move.
Smash.
Yeah.
And once you lock into that and how that all functions, it ends up feeling, I would say, more satisfying, and like there is more actual strategy to it than something like Mario Kart. Because something like Mario Kart, you can have driven really well, be in first place, and then you'll just get wiped out by the luck of the draw of someone else having gotten a blue shell or a red shell. But that doesn't really happen here. Any item that you're getting, any ability that you're getting and you're using is all because of a decision that you have made. It's not like, oh, I'm coming last and I got the blue shell.
Right.
There's no items or anything like that in this game that is like, that shrinks the playing field to that extent. No,
there's none of them are random. You like you say, you make a choice to acquire an item. You can't control what your opponents are doing. But even so, like, it's rare that you're coming up to the finish line because you are moving so fast. So it's not like you're going to be 10 meters away and then an opponent gets a really powerful item and they destroy you and they take over. It's like, nah, if you've positioned yourself well and you've taken everyone out and you've got good items, you can win just by playing well.
Yeah, you don't get the thing of like, oh, I've been hit by 4 red shells.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then I've hit a banana peel. And all this kind of stuff has just happened to me. And things like a lot of the courses have these like rail segments that you're kind of racing along that are like automatic. And even then, the strategy of I can't stay on one of these for too long because someone could be behind me using my little
trail
for a boost. So I'll make sure I'm kind of constantly hopping and moving around.
And there's slightly different paths based on where you hop around to on the rails as well. Yeah.
And the courses are just fantastic.
They're
this
very
game
cool.
looks beautiful.
Yeah.
It runs so smoothly. It is such a great demonstration of the Switch 2. Like, these courses all having these pretty amazing effects and everything being so fast moving. It's got 60 frames. I haven't noticed any drops at all. And yeah, these courses, a lot of them have these pathways where you might go off a jump and there's like kind of 3 different caves or like paths that you can go through depending on if your car is really good at gliding, you'll be able to make it up through the top one. If not, you'll go down through the bottom. Like, actually what you pick beyond just like the mechanical thing of what suits your play style of like, would I rather have better handling or higher top speed? You start to unlock more vehicles that have crazily specific sets of how they run that mean that playing a course with one versus another one is almost like a completely different course.
Yeah.
You can get up to a level that you can't get up to with this other vehicle or whatever it may be. And it just, I really feel like it doesn't, if you do the lessons and you do a couple of races, it doesn't take too long for it to click. But once it does, it just feels great.
It really does. It I mentioned to you, I think yesterday, like the more you play, the more addictive it becomes. And we haven't even talked about what I think is, for me, the standout aspect of this game. Like, haven't tried the multiplayer yet. And I'm sure for some people that will be the standout. But the road trip, it's exactly what Mario Kart has always needed. And it's the thing that for me makes this so enjoyable and gives me like a real a sense of progression, but also a great variety because it is throwing at you all of these like mini games, I guess.
So this
is almost like a slightly slower, a much slower paced WarioWare or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Like it's such a weird game because we're talking about the racing. The racing is like a quarter of what's here. Everything kind of has equal standing. And for a lot of people, I would say they would barely, if ever, touch the racing. Because the other main mode of it is the City Trial mode, which was in the original, became kind of like the cult favorite mode of that game, where you get dropped into a big open world map and you're driving around. You all start with the same vehicle with like no stats attached to it. You're driving around picking up these little icons that are all different levels of like powering up the like increasing the stats, the different stats of your vehicle. There's other vehicles around the course that you'll sort of see them signposted from a bit of a distance and be like, oh, okay, I want the tank. You can switch over to that and you'd be building up all these stats. You get 5 minutes. There's like these little kind of mini events that are happening that might get you more of these little icons, things like little boss characters coming up or little short drag races around the track. You're in there with like, I think 18 other people. You can attack them to destroy their vehicle and steal their stats and all this kind of stuff. It is just like a big fleshed out like Mario Kart battle mode thing that you do for 5 minutes with the purpose of building up the best machine that you can. And then at the end of those 5 minutes, you choose from one of 4 different styles of minigame that it kind of tells you what it recommends that you pick based on the stats that your machine is kind of leaning in the direction of. So there's things like seeing who can glide the furthest. So if you've built up the glide stat really well, it'll tell you like you're going to do really well at this one. Whereas if you have just got like a high weight and not a very good gliding machine, you are definitely going to lose it. It's so like weird in its format. Like you do this 5-minute battle mode that all comes down to this random little like 10-second mini game. It's so strange, but there just is something, and you don't even all play the same mini game. Like it can't have all 18 of you in the one game because inevitably most of you are just going to eat shit because your machine isn't built for that. So it kind of pairs you off into like what is the best one for the type of machine that you've built up. It's kind of so strange for it all to come down to something seemingly so inconsequential.
Yeah.
But there's just something about it that's like very, very addictive. And so that road trip mode is this sort of like a roguelite kind of version of the game that is taking all of the different things from all of the different modes.
Yep.
And you're kind of driving along this little road and you come to a set of 3 different things that you can choose between. It might just be a standard race. It might be one of the weird little mini games that's in City Trial. There's also a top-down mode that I don't know that I would spend too much time with it on its own. But when it comes up in the road trip mode, I'm pumped.
Yeah, it's fun. It's very fun.
Because it's something a little different, and it does feel like it controls really differently. It's its own separate set game. And so you're doing, you're choosing these 3 little challenges. You're also unlocking new vehicles that you can use within the road trip mode. You're earning currency to buy these like stat increases. You're doing these boss fights that might either be like in an arena that are combat based, or they might be a race.
Yep.
It's got this very compellingly over-the-top science fiction storyline that it is telling you that's about like the origin of where these machines came from.
Yeah.
So I finished
Which looks beautiful. It's so well animated.
It's awesome.
It's
I wish
dumb,
Sakurai
but
did more of this story stuff.
Yeah.
His cutscene stuff has always been so good. So I finished a run of it the other night. I think it takes around like 2 hours, and the point is that you're meant to go through it with all the characters and try and unlock all of the machines in a run. And the end of it, the stuff that you do at the end of a run is sick.
Oh, great.
Like it throws a couple of challenges at you that are not things that are just in the main game. They're like purpose-built little races and a boss fight, which are really, really fun.
Awesome.
And yeah, it is to have something so robust as a single-player component.
Right.
That again is like this really interesting remix of all of this different stuff. Like it's so weird that it doesn't have like a dedicated like Grand Prix mode where you just do all the races in a row and rack up points and try and get first in that. But it does have like a weird little roguelite instead.
But yeah, it's so charmingly put together. It's just something I didn't expect at all. I just had not paid attention to the hour-long directs about it. But it just, like I said, it adds this feeling of progression and an ongoing thing that you can attach yourself to rather than just jumping in and playing
doing another race.
Races.
Because you are unlocking things constantly, especially once you start. There's like little stickers to put on the vehicles and little, new parts accessories that you can add to them, characters, tracks, all this different stuff. In the first like couple of hours that you play it, everything that you do, you unlock like 10 little things. Like it's got this cool checklist mode that's got I think there's like 150 for each mode,
right?
And it'll be things like do an entire race without attacking anyone, or use this special move 10 times, or whatever they are.
Hit the wall less than 5 times, stuff like that.
All that kind of stuff. Yeah. And they're all getting you some form of little reward, and you can go into it. They're on like a little grid, so every time you unlock one, it'll show you the ones that are around it. It'll show you like what the condition is, and what you get for doing that. And you can load up a race to do that just from that menu. On this track, do this with this character.
Yeah.
And if you push start, it'll just throw you into that race with the character that you're meant to use, with all the conditions met. It's so intuitive and cool. And again, such a rare thing for any kind of checklist achievement-y thing. You have to like look at it and then go out and load it up. And sometimes you find you've like put in one little bit of it wrong, so you've not fulfilled it. And that is a thing from the first game that the sickos really got into. This checklist mode of going through and trying to do every single thing in there.
Fuck yeah.
It's neat. I'm not really one for trophies and achievements, but I love how it's done here. And again, it's like it does such a good job of making you use all of the different characters and all the different machines. It really doesn't feel like a game. It's really hard to imagine playing this game just going like, I've got my one character and my one machine, and this is how I play it.
Yeah.
It feels like, because when you boot it up, what's there is so limited and you're constantly unlocking new stuff. It's like, let me give this little guy a try.
Yeah, because when you start, it's like, what, 5 characters? 4
yeah,
even?
Yeah, I think it's 4 and 4.
And
4 characters and 4 machines.
Yeah. But
Whereas,
there's so much more in it. It looks fucking gorgeous, not just in the races themselves, which, like you say, super smooth, super fast paced, but like really like bright, beautiful tracks, some like dark, gloomy ones, weird, interesting designs, but also the checklist is fucking great. The menus are awesome.
Yeah.
The announcer is so cool.
Announcer's great, and it's very funny, like the characters not having... I think most of the characters in these games like don't talk.
Yeah,
so they don't have any... They haven't been able to lean on... And, we talked before about these character games like the Nickelodeon fighting game where they didn't get any of the voice actors back and it just feels a bit flat and a bit hollow. You would think that this might feel the same, but it does, like... It's not like I'm driving around being like, it's a shame none of these characters talk, because it just does such a good job of there's like... so much great sound design, and the announcer is always like telling you like what ability you've picked up. I was thinking about, I'm like, I think it would actually hurt the game if you had little, here I go. Like if you had little, it would make it too much. Like there's already so much going on.
I was going to say, I think it gets away with it because the screen is so busy as it is.
Yeah.
There's so much going on. There's particle effects left, right, and center. And there's constant noise. There's great music, but there's constantly sound effects and the announcer.
Your machines make really cool little noises of like gliding through across the track, and there just is something about the assumption that we all have an attachment to the little freaks that are in this game in the way that we do to like Yoshi or Wario, where it's like, I genuinely was so pumped to unlock the rock.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck he's from.
I don't know what Scarfy is. I don't know who Chef Kawasaki is.
Yeah.
But they fucking rule.
They've just been in a Kirby game at some point. I know I've seen them in the background of something, but again, they're not like... They don't have... They're just little guys that are bouncing around. They're not like... like Wario's supposedly got a bit of a backstory, or Yoshi has a bit of a backstory. It's like, there's a fucking little round thing that's just walking around in the background of one of these games.
I love slime.
I love my Waddle Doo. I love my little bandana Waddle Dee.
Bandana Waddle Dee fucking rules.
I love my Chef Kawasaki.
And all of the, like the stickers, the icons, the labels, the accessories. I just fucking love the Kirby design aesthetic in general. And that's the other thing. You can customize like your machines. You can add all these extra stuff to it. You can change the colors. You can change how they sound. You can change the engine sound for your machines. You can make them
look pretty fucking sick.
Oh, yeah.
Like when I got into that menu and there's like a fishing rod that you can stick to the back of your car.
Yeah.
And then there's like an online, using in-game currency, there's like an online store that you can go onto where people can make their own machines and put them up to buy, and you can buy them. Again, just using the money that you earn from races in the game.
Yes.
And people have already done some pretty incredible looking stuff. I'm a freak for this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And like, have you gone into the gummy mode? There's like, every time you win a race, you get like a little gummy of like the vehicle, I think the vehicle that you used in the race. And then there's a screen that you can go to that'll just drop down all of the gummies that you've collected in the game. So mine's like 200 and something at this point. And then you're like moving a little Kirby around the screen, and you can choose to like attract all the gummies to them and then blow them away. You can pick up a little sword and like smash them. It's just this weird little physics-based break. It's kind of like, watermelon game kind of thing.
Yeah.
But there's no point. There is 0 point to it. It's literally just a screen for you to go into with these little gummy toys and just bash them around the screen like a little break room. Don't know why it's in there.
Yeah.
Absolutely pointless, but just, the menu screens being a little like... a little tabletop thing where you're making the cursor is like a little Kirby figurine that's moving around.
Yeah.
It's so Moorish. Everything that happens is so like quick and bite-sized, but just has like such an insane amount of depth to it in what you can do with like the customization, the
Yeah, the
like,
mixing and matching of character and kart. Yeah.
You can go into the menus and you can choose to make like all of the races be like 99 laps or something like that.
Yeah.
I've done a few online races and it's like been really quick and reliable with the matchmaking. You can do ranked, you can just do quick matches. And yeah, like every different mode has its own checklist set of 150 things. So there's a screen for the air ride mode, the top ride mode, the city trial mode, but then also, the road trip mode. And then also like just being online has its own full set of achievements, which kind of just does make it feel like, all right, well, I'll spend a bit more time fucking around online because I want to unlock this and I want to unlock this.
It really, like, it's dumb to not really know how to explain the actual gameplay, but like it's Smash Bros in motion.
Yeah.
Like it's Smash Brothers on the road. Because like the simplicity of like the attacks, the boosting, the sucking things up, the all of that kind of interaction stuff. It's the same philosophy that Smash Bros applies to the traditional fighting game formula.
Yeah.
I would say if you like Smash Brothers, give this a go because it has the same energy and the same sort of like philosophy, I guess you'd say, behind what it's doing. And
they had those timed demos for it. I hope they put up just a straight up, you can have one track and one character. Because I do think that it's something that if you play through the lessons and you have a couple of races and just like, once it clicks, it just feels so good. And you just want to get deeper and deeper into it. And I also think that it's cool that a game like this that is a follow-on from a game that's like 20-something years old that came out and kind of tanked had some sickos that really got into it, but sort of, didn't really... I don't think it ever really found a big audience. Had some people that were defenders of it, but definitely at a time when... all there is a review in a magazine and people being like, it's a bit of a weird simplistic racing game and there's not a lot of content in here, that now for all of the negativity that comes around being online and, especially in the gaming sphere, that a weird concept game like this, a new version of it can come out now and it's possible for it to... for the right people to be able to find it. Like back in the day, it would have come out and you would have been like, I don't really like Kirby.
Yeah.
And then a review in the press is just like, I don't really get it. And you sort of go like, oh, that's it. Maybe you have like a friend that rides really hard for it. Yeah. But now, like if you were... This must feel sick if you loved that first one.
Oh, yeah.
That now this new version has so much more to it and you can play online with people. Like there's just a whole audience for this thing now. Something like this is able to be... discovered by people quite easily through the networks of being online rather than just kind of coming out and sort of being forgotten and being a bit of a dud. It's nice. It's kind of a nice thing that makes you go like, oh yeah, there is a positive side to this like brutal hellscape of being online that we're all kind of trapped in and feels like it's almost exclusively negative.
Yeah. I mean, I will say I haven't checked the reviews for this game, but I'd be surprised if it's not reviewing well. It's so much fun. It has so much content.
I think it's doing pretty well. I think it's on like a high 70s on Meta. I think it's like mostly around the like 7.5s, 8s. Like the reviews are all like, there's so much here. If you're into what it's doing, you're going to absolutely love it. However, there is a quite significant barrier to entry in that it is a lot weirder than how it presents itself.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see had they made a version of this when the first one came out where they weren't using Kirby and they had some new characters in it. So it was clear that it was a new weird thing.
Right.
Because the way that the Kirby games are positioned and the type of gamer that they are for is completely at odds with who this is for.
Yes. Yeah.
And I like that it is these very cute, babyish looking characters in this intense, very high skill ceiling game. Yeah. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it is a bizarre juxtaposition. But you're right.
But it just works. It's better than if it was like futuristic racing guys in their like souped up machines.
Yeah, and there's like there's something about the aesthetic that actually helps pass all of that fucking shit on screen. It because everything is so clearly defined and simplistic and cute and colorful, you can differentiate between all the stuff that's going on.
Right.
But it's not a cozy game. It's not an easy platformer.
Yeah.
It's a really weird, specific, but incredibly fun racing combat game.
I thought in looking at like some of the videos and screenshots in the city trail mode, when you're picking up the items, that they're just like these big kind of just flat sort of 2D things hovering up in the sky.
Right.
I kind of hated how that looked. I was like, it looks kind of cheap and like not sort of like takes me out of it. I wish it was like a little item that you picked up, but then once you're playing it, you're racing around so quickly and there's so much going on that for readability, it's like, oh yeah, it just has to be this way.
Totally.
If it was a 3D rendered little grape that you were picking up, it's like, oh yeah, of course, when it comes to design and aesthetics and UI, Sakurai fucking knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Even like some of the mini game levels where you just got to ride over buttons, it's like you're going so fast.
I love that one.
It's like it's really, really fun. And like once you get acquainted with, your vehicle of choice, then you're fucking taking corners like a pro.
Yeah.
But so like the first time I played one of those levels, I was like, I can barely see the buttons because I'm going around so fast. It really, you need that simplicity of design to make it possible to play.
And it's cool in the road trip mode how you might, you go into one of the challenges and if you fail it, you can retry for some of the money that you've been building up in the mode. And it gives you the option of like switching vehicles. And so often it's like, I think I'm using the right one and I've tried this like 5 times in a row and I just can't beat this guy or get all the buttons in time or whatever it is, that then I go, let me switch over to the scooter or whatever, and then just do it immediately. And it's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It really just does go to show you how, like, the difference in how these control can be the difference in, clearing something or not clearing something.
Yeah.
Well, that is going to do us for our review of Kirby Air Riders and, in fact, for our episode of Filthy Casuals for another week. Thank you very much for joining us. Get onto the Patreon.
Yeah.
Help support the podcast. Get a bonus hour of content every week from us where we talk about movies and TV shows. We're currently putting our whole pluribussy into it with the new Vince Gilligan show. We've been sort of recapping that each week, but also doing that at the end in a little spoiler section, talking about other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
As well. Thank you for listening. We will see you next time. And as we say at the end of every episode of Filthy Casuals, we are honoured to be nominated, but we are withdrawing ourselves from contention for Podcast of the Year.
That's right.
Because we're simply too good and it would not be fair to all of the other nominees.
Bye.